to students, parents, and families. This is your weekend update for the week of August 24th, 2020. So this is a weekend update video, and if you've never seen one of these before, I actually do these every weekend. And over the last few years, I've shared them in numerous ways. Shared them through social media like Facebook and Twitter. I've tried sharing them via email. I've tried sharing them just through YouTube. But at the end of last year, I found the most effective way to get this message to families is through our school messenger email. So I'm really going to utilize that this year along with our social media. But really, it's just a message from me to you every single week, talking about what's coming up, any important events, and just a way for me to share important information with you to get the message out. So I hope you continue to find them useful. Right now, with all that's going on, do you feel overwhelmed, frustrated, confused? We understand. We feel often the same way as we go through very uncharted territories. It's amazing what all is going into just bringing kids back to school. We know, though, how important that is. Just from our experience with summer school, it was just so amazing to see kids' faces back in the building. And even if your family has chosen virtual this year, which I absolutely respect, just bringing them back even in a virtual way to connect with us once again, to help us teach them, to help them learn and build those relationships. So we are so excited to get that ball rolling again. One of the things I wanted to share with you is just about next week, because there are some changes. So I want to hopefully answer some questions, ease some fears, and just make sure that by the time you're done watching this video, you are well informed and feel confident about the start of the year, how it's going to work for you and your family, whatever choice you may have had. So next week, as you probably heard already, the start of school has been extended to Monday, August 31st. So we will not start school next Wednesday, August 26th. Now the first day of school will be Monday, August 31st. So those 3 days that we are not having school because we're pushing it back to the 31st, you do not have to make those up. The rest of the calendar year for the school year will not change. Our last day of school is still the last day of school. We are just moving the first day of school to August 31st. That's going to give us a little more time for a couple things. One, to ensure that all of those protocols and barriers and plexiglass and everything else that we want to make sure are installed in the buildings are installed and we're ready to go. Because when we have kids in person, we want to make sure we've got everything in place so that we're doing everything we can to keep them safe. It'll also give our teachers just additional time to continue that excellent work that they've been doing on planning for virtual instruction. There are now virtual students in every single teacher's classroom, and we want to make sure that our virtual students have the same effective instruction that our in-person kids do. We don't want there to be a disparity between the two. We really want to make sure it's effective. This will give us a little more planning time to do that. So that kind of explains that part of it. As far as next week, other than moving the start of school back, Monday, August 24th, if you are a virtual family, so you have chosen virtual learning for your child, you will need to come sometime between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. this Monday, August 24th, to pick up a virtual supply bag. We have stuffed bags with virtual supplies, including textbooks, manipulatives, whiteboards, all those items that your child will need at home for the learning process. To do that, you will drive around the left side of our school building. You'll turn right before the buses and continue around our building, around past our playground, and up towards the circle lot where we have drop-off in the mornings. There, you will see a staff member, probably me, and you'll just tell me your child's name, teacher name, grade level. I'll go and get you your virtual supply bag and bring it out to you. So make sure you don't miss that. You should have already picked up a Chromebook from ECC as well, and a hotspot if you needed a hotspot for your home. And that pickup was at the ECC, the side door of the ECC. They've already had that. If for some reason you missed that and you did not get your Chromebook or your hotspot, please give us a call ASAP so that we can get you connected with the tech department to get that worked out. All right, so let me tell you two things. I'm going to talk a little bit about virtual. I'm going to talk about in person. So let's start with virtual. Virtual students, those are the main things, your virtual supply bag and your Chromebook and your hotspot. The other piece is logging into Google Classroom. Now, we have sent out Google Classroom codes for every student because even students that are in person will still be utilizing Google Classroom. but that's going to be your main learning platform if you're a virtual student. So you need to be sure that you take that code, watch my tutorial video that I've sent out through email and social media, get logged into the classroom and just click around, get familiar with what Google Classroom looks like and the different areas of it. And your teacher is already posting videos and links and some other items, and during that first week of school we'll really walk you through how that looks, how that works for your daily learning environment. The other piece to this, besides your Google Classroom, is utilizing Google Meet to live stream into the classroom. So if you are in that Google Classroom, up at the top on the banner where there's a picture at the top, you should see a link that's a Google Meet link. Your teacher will utilize that for you to click and join the live stream of the class. Now, if you try clicking it now, you won't be able to get into anything because the teacher has to have started the live stream before you can enter it. But that link will always be there, and it will allow you to click and jump into that live stream for instruction. For all of our in-person learners, if we were to ever shut down as a district and go remote, that would be the same process for you to join in to learning. Now, your teacher virtual learners will have in Google Classroom detailed instructions of when to log in. So at 9:30, please click the Google Meet link above to join us for math class. So they will have instructions on their Google Classroom, and we'll be sure to continue to communicate out in multiple ways to make sure everybody gets acclimated with these new tools as we start the new year. Because we understand this is brand new for you. It's brand new for a lot of our teachers. We will walk through this together. And that first week of instruction, the first 4 days that we have, that Monday through Thursday, August 31st through the 3rd, is really going to be a lot of us slowly taking students through the virtual process of learning. All right, so virtual learners, just to recap, make sure you have your Chromebook. Make sure that you have your virtual supply bag on Monday, that you pick it up between 9 to 3. Log into your Google Classroom and click around and get familiar with it. And then be on the lookout for your first Google Meet time that your teacher will post for when to log in on that first day, August 31st, to live stream in and to begin that learning process. All right, let's switch gears. Let's go to our in-person learning. In-person learners, you also have received a Google code, and we didn't want to try to confuse you. I had a parent that had made a comment on Facebook and had talked about we can't log into Google Classroom because we don't have access to the internet or a Chromebook. And we are not trying to say that you as an in-person learner have to start virtual learning now. We just wanted to get that information out there so that you also can become familiar with it, because we will be utilizing Google Classroom in in-person learning. But if you do not have access to a Chromebook, or you do not have access to a computer or the internet at home, no worries. When you come in person on day one, we will be walking you through that here with our Chromebooks and with our internet, so you can become familiar with those tools as well. The other thing about in-person learning, there are some changes this year. First, our doors do not open until 8:30, and that's a change. Our gate for cars will not even open until 8:30. So parents, as you are planning your beginning of your day, just know that kids will not be allowed to come into the door until 8:30. They will go directly to the classrooms. We'll have breakfast in the classrooms. We have so many protocols in place that we've shared numerous times in the past via emails to you, our live streams that we did at central office. But those protocols include teachers standing all over the building to help traffic so that students in small groups are moving through the hallways. There's not clusters. We're not gathering in large locations like the cafeteria. That we have plans for cohorts to stay together. So Miss Gastridge's first grade class will stay with that class all day long. They won't mix with Miss Boving's, they won't mix with Miss Webb's or any other class. They're really staying in cohorts, and that goes all the way through our grade levels. Kindergarten parents, you may be worried about this first day because you're not allowed to come into the building like you normally are. We completely understand that. We will, though, have our kindergarten teachers staged in the cafeteria. They'll be spread apart as classes, so we still have those cohorts separated. But we will have staff all over to help gently guide your child who's new and has never seen the building, to welcome them with a smile, make them feel comfortable, and get them very quickly to that kindergarten teacher so they can begin that relationship and feel comfort that they have found their class. So I know that's a worry, but we will take care of that and make sure they get to where they need to go. So that's kind of the first day routines. The other part is supplies. Without our open house, you will be bringing supplies. And we sent this out in School Messenger, but I want to make sure you've got the message. Again, we have split up the school supplies into several days so that your student doesn't have to bring everything on day one. Check that list out. It should be in your email. If for some reason you can't find that email with that information, give us a call. We can make sure to get it to you before the first day of school. But you want to just bring the general supplies like their pencil boxes, their pencils, pens, those types of items on day one. And then I believe it's cleaning supplies on day 2, personal supplies on day 3, and that will help you break them up. But we've got that all listed in that information that was sent out in an email. That will really help your child bring in smaller bits and pieces for that first few days. So that will be that Monday, August 31st, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It'll be a bit changed from the dates that were in that letter because we hadn't moved school back yet. Other than that, lunch is in the cafeteria. Our students will be one class at a time. We have double the amount of tables, so there's plenty of space. They will have recess every single day. We have zones out on the playground, so they'll get to rotate through those throughout the week so that every week they'll be able to play on every part of the playground. We will dismiss in many of the same ways. We're just taking care on our end of making sure that we get out in an orderly fashion to keep those cohorts from mixing. Now let's talk about the big one, mask. You probably have heard that masks are now required for students. The main requirement is for grades 4 and higher, so 4th grade and higher, and it's anytime that social distancing or barriers are not in place. For the most part, every single classroom has spacing and barriers in place. We did that intentionally so that when a child is in the classroom, when we get to an orange or a red like this for our county, your child can take that mask off. Now, they do not have to, but if they are in their classroom where those barriers are present and we have the additional spacing, it would be safe for them to remove that mask and they would be able to breathe more easily, be open in that classroom, and not have to wear that mask all day long. The only time that we will be asking them to put that mask on is in a situation where they're in close quarters or close contact with others for maybe some small group work where barriers aren't present. We don't have a lot of those situations here because we have so many plexiglass barriers going in place for our small group tables that most of the time there will be other barriers in place. Maybe some transitions in the hallways would be a time that they would wear the mask. But other than that, when those barriers are in place, they would not have to wear the mask. That is while we are in orange and red. If the county goes back to a yellow or to a green, then those types of extra protocols would be lowered or taken away. So I want it to be clear on what that is because I know that can be scary, but it is for safety. We want to make sure that, I think Dr. Isaacson said it best in the board meeting, we're not doctors, we're educators, that we're taking the advice of the doctors and doing what we can to protect kids. However, we also understand both sides of the situation and both sides of parents wanting kids to wear masks and not wanting kids to wear masks. And that's why we've done so much and invested so much to make sure we've got other barriers and protocols in place to protect kids that allows some students to be able to remove those masks when possible. All right. I think that kind of covers next week, how it's different. We're not starting school next week, but we still have our pickup on Monday. I think it covers some of the protocols that are in place. I just want you to know you can always reach out. There is never a dumb question. Ask, call, email anytime. Miss Kristen, Miss Penny are phenomenal at helping parents and walking you through anything that you might need. You can reach out to myself or Miss Carter anytime. Reach out to your child's teacher. We know there's been some delays on getting you class list and who your teacher is. There's been some changes on who those teachers are due to us bringing virtual in-house. Believe me, if I could take away all of those problems and issues, I would. But we have to work with the changes that come to us as these things are fluid and it changes day by day. But I will continue to communicate as best I can, as much as I can to keep you informed. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate our families here at Athena and just the amazing communication that you have. We don't jump to anger. We don't jump to frustration. We communicate. We talk. We get on the phone and we talk to one another about helping each other through this situation. And that's what it's going to take. So I hope you guys have a phenomenal weekend. Get some rest. Get some stress off. It's supposed to be beautiful this weekend. You have all of next week to enjoy that last week of summer. Ask questions, get on the websites with Google Classroom, call back and ask us if you have any questions from there. Make sure that you feel confident about what that's going to look like for day one, Monday, August 31st. All right, Athena families, we miss you. We'll see you soon. I'll stay in communication. Have a great weekend.